Moving forward here, proud of this graphic that we have here.
That's pretty good. Good, nice job. Nice job,
This is
Brandon.
a Fox Sports style graphic. You would see, if we were going to use it in a camera and do a wipe, you'd see a little spin cycle, and then we'd move on to the next thing. It would be fun. But here, the Bears and the Rams sucked last year. They were really good in 2018. I don't know what to make of this.
Mitchell Trubisky sucks.
He's not good. Trubisky's just not good. He's not what everybody thought he was going to be. So I definitely think the Bears were a fluke. As far as the Rams go, I mean, Todd Gurley's knees just they no work no more. I mean, that's what's just upsetting about that one. I think Jared Goff is a little worse than a lot of people had him as. I think he just had an incredible season, and they went for it all. A lot of people thought in 2018, hey, the Rams are just going to go for it all and they're going to hope it happens. They were one win away, and then this year they lost a couple of those pieces, and obviously they fell to 9-7.
I think this year we'll see Nick Foles in at quarterback for the Bears after week 4 or 5 because Trubisky's 0-3 or 0-4.
Trubisky's not even – I don't think Trubisky's going to get the start week 1. I think it's going to be Foles.
He will get the start, but Foles will come in. And the Rams, Sean McVay's an outstanding coach.
Yes.
He's one of the best Common Cup in this league. But you're without Todd Gurley this year. You lost a lot of good pieces on defense right now. You really didn't make any really big signings. So what are they going to do? They don't really have that running back anymore. We see from Jared Goff, he's not the best quarterback in the league. That defense is – you still have Aaron Donald, but there's a lot of empty spaces other than that. So where do you go from there?
True. And the thing with the Rams is they really focused on their run game in 2018. We give a lot of credit to Goff, but the pressure wasn't on him. This past season, there was a lot of pressure on Goff. 2018, the Rams ran for 2,231 rush yards. This past season, they ran for 1,499, one short of 1,500. So that's a 780 yard deficit. That's just not – you lost so much offense there. It put so much pressure on Goff. And the Rams really used their run game to get to the Patriots. Like, they got to the Super Bowl. Like, if they didn't have the run game, they wouldn't have gotten past the Cowboys in that second round. They ran over the Cowboys. It was 250 rush yards in that game. They get to Brady. They did their best. It was a pretty good accomplishment, but was it a fluke? I got to believe so because they threw all their pieces on the table. And you saw last year the pieces just weren't there. They had to destruct their defense and get rid of Wade Phillips this offseason. They're going to try to build younger. You never know. If you get lucky, you can build around Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, though. Those are really good players. So there's something to talk about there. And I'll give you guys a 3-second warning about what I'm going to say about the Bears here. Their offense was a clusterfuck last season. It was an absolute clusterfuck. And I don't want to make a living using terms like that, but Matt Nagy says he's one of the best offensive minds in the game, and the offense was an absolute clusterfuck last year. So I
think part of that is Trubisky's just not what everybody thought he was, and he had a bad season. And Jake, maybe you're right. Maybe Trubisky will get to start week 1, and Nick Foles will come in. We know Nick Foles likes to come off the bench and win games. Maybe he comes in week 5 and gets the Bears to the 4 or 5 seed. That would be an awesome story for Nick Foles to come off the bench again and get another, kind of low-level team into the Super Bowl or into a big-time playoff game. That would be a lot of fun to watch. But I think the main problem with that offense, lad, as you described with that word, was Trubisky. And I really think Trubisky was the main focus on that offense, and he just was not what everybody thought he was going to be.
Well, to be honest, yeah, I don't think Mitch Trubisky's good. I think Tariq Cohen's small. Yes, he's fast, but he's not that running back that really other teams need, and they had Jordan Howard. We've seen he's moved to 6 different goddamn teams in the last 3 seasons. So it's like you're losing these pieces. The Bears don't have a solid wide receiver. I personally, again, I don't think Allen Robinson's a good wide receiver. They really Taylor Gabriel's okay, and he's been decent for the Bears. Well, other than that, they don't have too many weapons. So that offense is just very stagnant when you don't have a good quarterback and you can't even rely on your run game when you don't have a solid running back. You have David Montgomery, who's young, but he's also kind of small, and he's not that power back that a lot of teams in the league are starting to have. So I don't think, especially with the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, we'll talk about it later, but the Vikings lost a lot of pieces, but I still think they'll be decent. With those two teams at the top of that division, the Bears are going to be a 4 or 5 win team.
I'd give them 6.
They won 8 games this year, Jake. They won 8 games, and they added Nick Foles.
I have the Rams falling off a cliff. I have 2 teams, though, buried in elite divisions. We saw the Cardinals get a lot better. We saw the Lions get a lot better. And then each division has 2 good playoff teams. So these guys are going to fall to the back of the pack. I'm giving it no chance for playoffs this year for either team.
Yeah, I don't think either of them are making the playoffs either. Well, the Bears won 8 games. Keep in mind, they won 8 games and they added Nick Foles. So they were able to make it work for the most part. I actually like Tariq Cohen and Allen Robinson. I don't know if Allen Robinson is that, yes, he is the number one guy. Throw it to him when you need a 20-yard catch, exactly. But I think Allen Robinson, gets the job done. They won 8 games. Who's to say they can't win 2 more?
I am. I'm to say they can't win 2 more.
All right, I guess the 2 of you are to say they can't win 2 more.
Yeah, there's not a chance. No, there's not a chance. You're giving them a chance to win 2 more games?
I mean, what did they do? They added Nick Foles, and they didn't do anything else different. They won 8 games this year. I think Nick Foles is a good quarterback, and I think he's going to play for the Bears this season. So I think they can get either back to 8 wins, and with that extra playoff spot, they could possibly sneak in there, or, maybe Nick Foles gets them an extra game at 9. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed playoff win. They could win 7 games this year and miss the playoffs, or even win 6 games this year and miss the playoffs. But I don't think, they're going to fall all the way back to 3 or 4 games just because they added Nick Foles. They didn't add or really subtract anything.
Jake, you're with me. There's no chance, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Lab.
There's just no chance.
No Bears bandwagon for me.
No.
All right.
The Bears lose. You like that one?
The Bears.
The Bears. Okay, moving on to Lad's turn here.
Never do that ever again.
Did we edit music in?
Did you just go, did you just do that?
Yes, Lad's turn.
Yeah, great. We'll see what we can do.
Blues Clues. Maybe some Blues Clues music.
Okay.
Time.
I was excited for the segment too, and then you just did do.
Okay, Lad's turn. Division winners and losers of free agency. So here we go. Let's start with the NFC. NFC East. I'll read them off, and then we'll dive into the divisions to talk about every single team. NFC East, I have my winner, the New York Giants. Does that mean they're going to make the playoffs? Absolutely not. My loser, the Philadelphia Eagles. Does that mean they're going to miss the playoffs? No. But does that mean they're going to win the playoffs? Or are they going to win the division? No.
Lad, you're talking all this smack about the Bears, and you have them as the NFC North division winner.
No one else in the NFC North did anything.
Yes. Jake, are you with me here? If nobody else does anything and you add a new starting quarterback, you're the winner.
And the Lions lost Darius Slay.
Yeah, I mean,
they suck.
So here we go. NFC East. Winner is the Giants. No chance they make the playoffs. NFC North. Winner is the Bears. No chance they make the playoffs. Loser, Vikings. They still have a chance in the playoffs. We'll get into that.
They lost Diggs.
NFC South, winner, Bucks. Loser, Carolina, yard sale. NFC West, winner, Cardinals, because these elite teams didn't do anything. The loser are the Rams. So let's get right into the NFC East here, boys. What do you guys see? Any change from last year?
For the Giants?
Anyone.
I mean, the Cowboys, they did what they had to do. They brought back Dak, and they brought back Amari Cooper. They did lose Byron Jones, which I think is kind of a big loss for them. As the Cowboys fan, I think you could confirm, Vlad, that yes, that is a big loss for them. But as for the Giants, yeah, I think they won. I mean, they're still better than the Redskins. They didn't exactly subtract any major pieces, and the Eagles and Cowboys didn't necessarily get better. In fact, I think you might be able to say with the loss of Byron Jones, you might be able to say the Cowboys got a little bit worse. So, yeah, absolutely. I think the Giants won. And the Eagles, they just didn't do anything. They didn't get better than the Cowboys, which is not good for them.
Well, let me indulge in, adjust my seat here. I did a lot of studying on the Giants free agent signings today. We'll go down. I started with James Bradbury. He's top corner one of the top corners in the NFL.
One of the worst financial things ever.
Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, 3 interceptions last year, 65 tackles. I'm very excited about that signing. He's a veteran presence to, line up with Baker, Sam Beal, Julian Love, Jabril Peppers. He's the number 1 corner on this team right now. Blake Martinez.
Who?
Blake Martinez, the Packers linebacker that led the league in 2017 in tackles and was number 2 in combined tackles last year. He started all 16 games, had 155 tackles, 3 sacks. The only downside to Blake Martinez is he's really bad in coverage. So that's kind of like a downfall in that side of Blake Martinez, but he's a very good run stopper, and he's definitely a huge upgrade to this Giants defense. Leonard Williams, I hate him. Let me just say that. I really think that we should not have re-signed him. We wasted $16.1 million on him by franchise tag.
He's good. He's a solid line.
Whoa, that's 16 point. Jake, that's $16.1 million could have went to Clowney. He's
16.1 that could go to a good D end.
He's solid. Maybe not worth the 16 mil, but he's solid.
Since Leonard Williams came to the Giants last season, he had half a sack, 26 tackles.
I could have gotten half a sack.
No, lad.
Someone
would have sprained an ankle at some point.
Since coming to the Giants, he was dog shit. And I really do not know why we re-signed him. We have – listen to this list of D tackles that the Giants already have. Dexter Lawrence, our first-round pick last year. R.J. McIntosh, a fifth-round pick from Miami. B.J. Hill, Dalvin Tomlinson, who was our second-round pick the other year from Alabama. We have a stacked D-line, and there was no reason to waste $16.1 million on Leonard Williams when we could have used that money to get
Clowney.
Maybe on Clowney, or work some of those pieces into a trade with the Jaguars for Ngakoue.
That's a great point.
Wow.
Also,
What analysis from Jacob Johnson.
I still got more, but we'll talk about it in a minute. Go ahead, lad.
Calais Campbell cheaply went to the Ravens also. You wouldn't even have had to give anything up. You would have given up a third-round pick and a D-line prospect for him. But you paid $16.1 million to Leonard Williams, and you let Golden walk in free agency. You could have had
Marcus
Golden,
still is not
anyone.
Marcus Golden's still not signed.
He's still not signed?
No.
Oh, you're not bringing him back.
No, we're not bringing him back. That's the thing, is that we're just going to let him walk. Because we signed –
Because you don't have the money.
Well, we have about $8 to $10 million left, but we're going to have to either update some contracts, move some people around. It's going to be really tough. But the piece that we signed for Marcus Golden is Kyler Fackrell from Green Bay.
Who?
Kyler Fackrell from Green Bay. He's a DN. The same thing that we did with Mark. If you guys asked me 2 years
ago, I don't even have a scouting report.
Exactly.
I've never – if Lad hasn't heard of the player, that's a problem.
If you asked me 2 years ago, had you guys heard of Marcus Golden, I've never heard of him before. But the Giants are doing the same thing with Fackrell as they did for Golden. They signed him to a 1-year, $4.75 million prove-it deal. Fackrell tore his ACL in 2019 and played 2 games.
Yeah,
but in 2018, he had 10.5 sacks, 14 tackles, and 12 tackles for loss. And he's worked with the Giants' new defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, during his time in Green Bay.
On the ESPN article with all the free agent signings, they say, what the team did, and then they have analysis of it. All it says is the New York Giants have agreed to terms with another former Green Bay Packers linebacker to the roster, Kyler Fackrell. That's it. That's all it says.
That's why I had to do my studying on him to see how he was.
That's like underground studying. ESPN doesn't even know who this guy is.
Yeah, I know. That's something.
And then we signed a former Cowboy, Cameron Fleming, right tackle, probably our starter. 1 year, $4 million. Dean Lewis.
All right.
Colt McCoy is our future.
I
We
saw
don't
that
gotta
guy
go through
come
it.
up.
Yes, the Giants were the absolute winner of the NFC East free agency, and I think Jacob Johnson just confirmed
We
that.
signed Nate Ebner, who plays rugby.
And the Eagles did nothing, so that automatically makes them.
I don't know when Ladd did this because the Eagles traded for Darius Slay. They got one of the best quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I wrote an article on this. There's reasons.
Ladd, where'd you write that article? Landry Hat, fan-sided?
Yes.
You can also read my articles at EmpireWritesBack.com, Aaron Valentino. Weekly.
41,000 views on this article. 41,000.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one for sure.
I think a robot shared it. I think it was a Russian hack job for me to get that many views. But I talk about this. The Eagles get Slay, but they give Wentz no weapons at all. The Cowboys, they don't overpay for anyone, and they bring back Dak and Amari, and they have a new defensive line. I mean, the Eagles have to be.
I think, because the Redskins did nothing, and they were already bad, right? Yeah. So I don't even know if they could win or lose, even if they did anything. But the Cowboys did what they had to do. They brought back Amari, and they brought back Dak. Yes, Byron Jones is a huge loss, and the Eagles get Slay. But I still think, the Cowboys got better, and the Eagles didn't necessarily do that. Or the Cowboys stayed the same, and it's tough. I still think the Cowboys would win over the Eagles in this situation.
They were the more talented team last year. The Eagles just outplayed them week 16. The Cowboys should have won that game by 3 touchdowns on paper. We know that.
Cowboys should have won a couple of the games that they lost.
The only good thing I can say about the Eagles that would make them a little better is they got rid of Nelson Aguilar.
Okay.
And he can't catch a ball to save his life. So that makes them a little better.
What does Darius Slay bring to that defense for you, Jake, that you think has them better than the Cowboys?
I don't think that they're better than the Cowboys. I just think that, we have to put a loser for the division, and I would say that it's probably the Eagles, but I think Darius Slay is a good upgrade because last year the Eagles, I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure they were in the bottom 5 in the NFL in passing yards per game. The Giants, with Eli Manning, torched them week 15, and they just had no weapons. The Eagles got rid of Ronald Darby, so they got rid of another corner, and they traded for Slay. I think Slay's a very good corner in the league, and, he was lined up with Stephon Diggs twice a year, and that kind of gave him some reps. So he's in that top 5 cornerback crew of the NFL, but the Eagles did nothing else.
Yeah. So right now, let's quickly, no explanation, put a win total on the 4 NFC East teams. Aaron, you can go first.
Oh boy, putting me on the spot here. I think the Cowboys.
Give a range.
I think the Cowboys can win 10 games. That remains to be seen. I think the Eagles, they'll stay probably about the same. They got Wentz, no weapons, so I would think 8 or 9 games again. The Giants, I think Daniel Jones has another solid season for them, so I think that could get them up to, 6 wins, 7 wins, and then the Redskins, I think they're going to be bad again. I think they're going to have 4 or 5 wins.
I got the Cowboys at 9 to 8. I have the Giants in that 7 to 8 range, and then I have the Eagles at 6 to 7, and then I have the Redskins from 2 to 4.
Okay. That's fair. I have the Eagles knocked out. I have the Cowboys at the 9 to 13 range just because they're the biggest wild card in the history of NFL. I have the Eagles in the 8 to 9 range. I have the Giants in the 7 to 8 range, and then I have the Redskins in the 3 to 5 range, playing a game of chicken with the Indianapolis Colts for who is going to be the worst team in the NFL. So moving on to the NFC North here, we talked about the Bears. Let's not waste our time here. Let's talk about the Vikings here quickly. Recently on Twitter, I get in this mood where I'll just come for people's souls on Twitter, but I won't at them. I'll just run them through the mud, but I won't actually at them. And I recently did this to the great Sal Miliato, where I just called the Vikings offseason a shit show. and listed off all the things that went terrible. So it was the worst offseason ever.
No, yes.
I mean, the Diggs trade it's not bad. It's not good, but it's not necessarily bad. I mean, it's been rumored he's wanted to be out of there for a while. They got a good amount of picks back. I don't know. They're definitely the loser of that division as far as the offseason goes, but I don't know. The Diggs trade, it's a tough one to gauge.
I just think it was a bad offseason. They did nothing good. I still don't think Kirk Cousins is that good of a quarterback in the NFL. Hot take. They lost Xavier Rhodes. They lost Everson Griffin. They lost Stephon Diggs. They really, Dalvin Cook's a very good running back. But Kirk Cousins couldn't do much with the weapons he had. Now you take away Stephon Diggs and you're giving him even less weapons. So, and half that defense just walked away. They don't want to be in Minnesota anymore. So they lost. Anthony Harris is another one that's gone, one of their safeties. I think the Vikings are going to be a very bad team this year.
Very bad team. I have them as an 8-win team now because
I have them as a 6.
A 6, Aaron?
I'm sorry. How many wins for the Vikings?
Yeah,
6.
6? Yeah, I think. Yeah. No, I like Kirk Cousins. I would put him at 8 or 9. What did they win last year? 10? They won 10 last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10. I could put him at 8 or 9. I don't know. They certainly didn't do anything good, but they didn't do anything necessarily that's horrible.
That's true. I got to say about them, everyone just ran away. Danielle Hunter just says, I don't want to be here anymore after recording 10.5 sacks last season. He's like, oh, I'll see you guys later. He just has an Instagram caption, I can't be here anymore. So everyone ran away from Minnesota. They're going to take a hit. Green Bay's still going to be really good. Lions got a little better. Matt Patricia's last stand in Detroit, so it's going to be interesting. Quickly, guys, win totals, ranges, order.
Packers won. I don't know if I could give win ranges for this division, but Packers won. I'd still put the Vikings at 2. Lions 3. I think they got better, and I think Stafford, has a good year this year, and then the Bears 4.
I'm going to go Packers 1, probably 12 to 13 wins. Lions 2 in that 8 to 9 range. Vikings 3, 7 to 8 range, and then the Bears probably 5 to 6 range.
Okay, I agree with you guys. Packers far and away 12-13, playing around with that 1 seed in the NFC. Lions maybe fighting with the Vikings and Bears for 2, 3, and 4. It won't matter. They're going to be 7 to 8 wins. It's going to be really tight. They're going to hang around until Thanksgiving, but I don't think it matters. Only one playoff team. Moving down to the South here, our winner is definitely the Bucs. We talked about that a ton. Loser, yard sale, Panthers. So we have the Saints and the Falcons stay similar. We don't need to talk about them. Panthers, yard sale.
Yeah, they just sold everyone. They gave away Cam Newton. They're getting rid of him. It's just full rebuild mode down there, which is fine. That's totally normal.
I think one of the things that was interesting was they signed Kyle Allen, that quarterback, to a year, and then they proceeded the next day to trade him to the Redskins. So I think that's really interesting. They get Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy's a very good quarterback in the league, but at the same time, he doesn't also have too many other weapons. They got Robbie Anderson. That's kind of big for them. It's another addition.
Overpaid, but that's fine.
But the Falcons were able to get Todd Gurley. The Saints added Emmanuel Sanders. That's a big weapon for Drew Brees. And that's kind of it for this division that they did. But the Panthers got rid of a lot more people than they really should have. And one being James Bradbury, who went to the Giants. You lose your top corner. And the Saints just got better. The Bucs we already talked about. And I think the Falcons adding Todd Gurley is a big move. We got to see how his knee is, but they're still going to be in that range.
Yeah, I agree with you. Saints, Falcons, they're going to stay similar. I think the Falcons or Bucs are going to be teams that fight for a wild card, and then you have Carolina falling off a cliff. How about you guys?
I don't know. I think the Saints are still number 1. The Panthers are obviously, I think last in that division. The Bucs, I feel like the Bucks could honestly, go anywhere in this division. They could be number 1 or 2, or they could be not very good. We don't know. Again, I don't feel confident necessarily in Brady away from Bill Belichick. And then the Falcons, Matt Ryan, they add Todd Gurley, but Todd Gurley's not that great anymore. I would go Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers.
I have that. I have the same thing: Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers. But I think the Saints win the NFC.
Wow. Going to the Super Bowl, Saints, finally. They're going to break through after, the last 3 seasons?
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think at least they have the best regular season record, and then we'll see what they can do in the playoffs. But I think out of any team in the NFC, I think it's the Saints year.
Moving out west, we talked about the Rams. I don't want to touch Seattle and the 49ers. They're still good. They didn't do anything. The Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins. Let's just talk about this trade here. A steal.
I mean, yeah. I mean, a full steal. I mean, listen, we talked a lot about, how it was probably a mistake for them to draft Josh Rosen if they were just going to go and get Kyler Murray. But now all of a sudden, you're looking, Kyler Murray had a solid season. Rookie of the year, right? Right? He was the rookie of the year? Yeah, rookie of the year. They add DeAndre Hopkins. If it, okay, I mean, things are just looking up for the Cardinals. Great offseason. Anytime you add a top 3 receiver in the league, a lot of people think he's even the best receiver in the league. It's a good offseason.
Yeah, I completely agree. You get rid of David Johnson's contract. He's the last 2 or 3 years he's been down. He's been a downfall in the league. As fantasy football players, people drafting him top 5 and then they just keep getting disappointed. So he's headed to the Texans. Arizona gets Hopkins. The one thing that the 49ers did is they traded DeForest Buckner and get a first-round pick out of it. That's something kind of to look at to see where they do with that. I still think that the Seahawks win this division, and I think it goes Saints – or not Saints, excuse me. I think it goes Seahawks, and then it's going to be close between the Cardinals and the 49ers, and then the Rams in last place in this division. But I really like Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins together.
I completely agree with you guys. Hopkins, Murray, it's going to be exciting for Murray to have some weapons. Cliff Kingsbury knows what he's doing in that spread offense. If their defense comes along with them, they could push for a wild card now with 7 teams. Moving to the AFC here, let's quickly run through it. We might maybe get into some more detail about it. I don't know if you guys agree. There's no sports, so we can talk about NFL stuff for a long time here for the upcoming week. So I don't know if you guys want to give this a speed run here. We're already an hour or so in.
Well, when we were planning the show, you were like, yeah, the Patriots are losing to the AFC East. And yet here I'm sitting. The Jets haven't had a great offseason, but the loser, that's a big yikes.
The Jets are bad.
Yeah, but they're not the Patriots lost Tom Brady and their whole defense. And the Jets are the losers in this division.
The Jets didn't gain anything, and
they signed Patrick Asanwar. They've added a couple of they haven't had a great offseason. But Patrick Asanwar was solid, okay? That defense was a top 10 defense in the NFL last year. The only thing, and the draft is still coming up, the Patriots lost their whole defense and Tom Brady, who is the greatest quarterback of all time. Joe Douglas has kind of taken this offseason to kind of fill little holes here and there and hasn't made a big splash. And especially, coming off an offseason where they signed Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Mosley, and Jamison Crowder, some of these littler signings aren't going to get the fans excited, but they're going to fill holes. They're going to fill depth holes. And I think Douglas is looking at a big draft to possibly draft, CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy to fill the admittedly very big wide receiver hole this team has. But I don't think you could put the Jets as the loser, especially, I mean, maybe you could definitely put them at the second loser because the Bills, awesome offseason, Dolphins, awesome offseason. Honestly, they should probably even be the winner of the AFC East. They just, they were fantastic, and Brian Flores and company next year I think are going to be pretty good. But Jets didn't necessarily lose anyone. Yeah, they lost Robbie Anderson, but I wasn't a big Robbie Anderson guy. But the Patriots lost the whole defense and Tom Brady.
I don't agree with the Jets Patriots thing, but I agree that the Dolphins should be the winner. They had a huge offseason. Now, don't get me wrong, the Bills should be very excited about what they did. They made a lot of huge additions. But the Dolphins get Byron Jones, Kyle Van Noy, a running back in Jordan Howard, Emmanuel Agba from the Browns, Shaq Lawson. And then they get Eric Flowers, who was a former Giant who was absolutely horrible, but has turned his career around in the last 2 or 3 seasons with the Redskins. So Jordan Howard, since 2016, he has the 3rd most rushing yards in the league in 3,895 and 7th most rushing touchdowns in 30. Kyle Van Noy, 6.5 sacks last season. Byron Jones, highest paid cornerback in the NFL. And then you're going to, team him up with Xavier Howard, who's the 2nd highest. So they have the 2 highest corners in their secondary. Shaq Lawson, 6.5 sacks. So they just really shored up every part of this offense. I think, in the draft, we don't really know what they're going to do yet. They might trade up. They're looking to try and get Joe Burrow. I don't think the Bengals are going to budge, but Tua could be their guy. And if they can get a quarterback who's going to be able to lead this team, that's scary for the AFC East. And that would really screw the Patriots over, and that would be tight between the Bills and the Dolphins for 1st and 2nd.
One more thing to add about the Jets now that I have the free agents in front of me. They did sign Connor McGovern and Alex Lewis and George Fant, who George Fant's not a great signing, but those are 3 big offensive line upgrades, which, the team desperately needed. Was one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year. So, again, in the Patriots, they didn't really add anybody. They lost a ton of really big core pieces.
There's a famous book, The Tale of Two Cities. It talks about times in London and Paris. It's a tale of 2 cities. This AFC East is a tale of 2 groups. You have 2 winners in the Bills and the Dolphins. You have 2 losers in the Pats and the Jets. And my thinking here for throwing this up here, the Bills are the winner because the Dolphins just aren't proven yet. They're a better team. We're thinking they're getting better. Maybe they can fringe the playoffs. The Bills, we know they can win some playoff games. They took Deshaun to the bitter end last year. So we know what can happen here with the Bills, and they just made themselves better. They tightened up their defense, and they got Stephon Diggs, another playmaker for Josh Allen. The Jets, you're the loser because you could have won this offseason. This right now is one of the scariest times for a Jets fan because, Aaron, you're losing the gap to the Bills.
Listen, it depends. I think the draft is the bigger stage for the Jets because with Robbie Anderson leaving, and I'm honestly kind of happy about that because Robbie Anderson is not a number 1 wide receiver in my eyes. And I think the 2 of you can agree with me on that. I know a lot of Jets fans loved Robbie Anderson, but he's not a number 1 receiver. CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy are. That's just a fact. The 2 of these guys, whichever team they end up on, and they might not even be there at 11, that's how good they are, they're going to come in and they're going to develop into a number 1 wide receiver. This is also a very deep offensive, lineman draft for the Jets, which, they desperately need. They need to protect Sam Darnold. They need better protection for Le'Veon Bell. And it's a good cornerback draft, which they desperately need because I don't know if Bless Austin or Arthur Marlette are exactly going to get it done for this, New York Jets secondary. It can't be just Jamal Adams and Marcus May running all over the place. But with the pieces the Jets have now, they were a top 10, like I said, they were a top 10 defense last year. They were one of the worst offenses in the league. They've got some new guys in Connor McGovern, Alex Lewis, and George Fant. And again, they have a big draft coming up. But yes, I think the Jets are worse than the Bills. I know the Jets were ranked worse than the Dolphins in the preseason power rankings that you shared with us recently, but I think they're better than the Dolphins. I don't know about the Patriots because the Patriots are honestly a big question mark. Honestly, they could go 16-0 this season, and I wouldn't be surprised just because it's Bill Belichick and company. But yes, the Jets are behind the Bills by, I would say, a decent margin for sure because Josh Allen has just played better than Sam Darnold, and that's just a fact.
I'm just interested because if the Jets don't get one of those 2 wide receivers at 11 and they're both gone, or they're not gone and you take an offensive tackle, you don't have a wide receiver on your team.
Well, it's funny you say that because I think they have to draft one of those guys at 11. I really do because they have no one.
There's a lot of offensive tackles there. The grades are going offensive tackles' way.
And there's a ton of offensive tackles. And the NFL draft is not like the NBA draft where the talent drops off after pick 5. You
Yeah.
can get really solid talent in the second, third, and even fourth rounds,
Yep.
especially at the offensive tackle position. Brian Rudman, who is not on this podcast, but I've been talking about with him, for the last couple of weeks, and he thinks, the Jets absolutely need to draft a lineman at 11. They can't take Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb because Sam Darnold is just too unprotected. But after these 3 agency signings and no wide receivers, I think they have to take one of them.
I'm with Brian. It's easier to get a stud offensive tackle. You have to in the first round. You're not getting anyone that great in the second round. You're just getting an adequate starter.
But an adequate starter is better than what they had. Is better than Brian Winters, who shouldn't even be in the NFL.
True, but don't you want a stud left tackle, right tackle?
I think, but they don't have wide receivers. The offense is bad. It's gonna, Sam Darnold can move a little bit, and I think Joe Douglas has done a solid job of upgrading this line so far this offseason. It's not just pick 11. He's got picks in the second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, and seventh round. So an adequate starter is better than what they had last season, and they have no wide receivers right now. I think they have to take CeeDee Lamb.
Crowder is not good, and neither is Quincy Enunwa. So you have no wide receiver.
Well, Jamison Crowder is a solid slot receiver, very solid slot receiver, and works well in Adam Gase's offense. And Quincy Enunwa, his career might be over. There's literally no telling if he's going to come back, and if he does,
have a tight end.
What?
There's really no
tight end.
I'm sorry, my computer just glitched out. What did you guys say?
The Jets don't really have a tight end.
Yes, they do. Ryan Griffin and Chris Herndon are more than solid tight ends for the Jets.
Yeah, exactly. See, they're not really good named tight ends. You have no weapons.
Yes, we have Le'Veon Bell and Jamison Crowder.
I'll say this. What is the greatest military without ammunition? You do not have ammunition right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we need to take CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy in the draft.
Okay, I'm with Rudman here, though. It's easier to get a stud wide receiver in the second round than the first round. The analytics point to it.
I mean, okay. Listen, you can think that. We'll see who they take on draft night.
Okay.
Knowing the Jets, they'll probably take a defensive tackle because they're the Jets, and that's what they do.
Yep. Moving to the north here, hot take. You guys can have 5 minutes after this to talk about what I'm going to say. The Browns passed the Ravens in the standings.
Yeah, no.
I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah, no. Lamar Jackson coming off an MVP.
It was a fluke last year. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
people are going to be able to see it.
You were a huge Lamar guy this year. Now all of a sudden you're going to say that they're going to the bottom of the division?
Well, me and all the other NFL coaches had a chance to study and scheme for it.
I will say
the Ravens will win the division and will go to the NFC Championship this year. I feel very confident in saying that.
Good thing they play in the AFC.
The AFC.
Well, the one thing I do want to say is the Browns did have one of the best offseasons of any teams. Austin Hooper had 6 touchdowns last year and 787 yards. Jack Conklin was the third best rate in pass win block in the league for the Titans. B.J. Goodson, solid linebacker. Carl Joseph, safety. Kevin Johnson, corner. Tendejo, safety. Adrian Claiborne was the 4th best pass rush win rate in the league. And they signed a backup in Case Keenum, who was proven for the Vikings with the new head coach, Kevin Stefanski. So I think that the Browns had an incredible season, and I think this pushes them to the playoffs, but I don't think it pushes them past the Ravens for obviously
Go all the way. Roll the dice.
I don't think so.
Aaron, plans for the Browns?
I don't know. Browns fans have been saying playoffs for the Browns the past few seasons. People believe in Baker Mayfield. It didn't work last year with Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, and Baker Mayfield. And I don't know if it's going to work again. I don't feel confident in the Browns. I never feel confidence in the Browns. I do feel confident in the reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson, though.
Okay, fair enough. Moving to the South. Winner, Titans. They bring back Tannehill. They shore up the defense a little bit. Loser, Texans, for obvious reasons. They got Pennies back for an all-pro receiver.
Both of those are absolutely correct. I mean, what are the Texans doing trading away Hopkins for nothing? Are they serious with that? I don't know if the Texans are going to win 10 games next year now because of that. The Titans, yes, they do what they had to do again. The Titans are better than the Colts. The Jaguars could be a question mark. Who knows? Minshew mania could happen again, and Minshew, plays really well and gets the Jaguars up. But I don't know if the Jaguars are going to win 4 more games. I think the Titans will still be around the same range, maybe even better, and the Texans are going to fall without DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I think Bill O'Brien is literally just tearing down the Texans for no reason. Like, I just don't get why you would trade the number 2 receiver in the league from your team to the Cardinals. But I think the Titans, they got Derrick Henry back. They re-signed Ryan Tannehill for 4 years. A.J. Brown, hot take, will be one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league this year. And I'm excited to watch this Titans team play because, yes, they faced a really, really hot Chiefs team last year, but they took them – they played them well. They played really well against them. So this Titans team is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, I mean, this Titans team is what it is. I thought their defense was a little lame last year, but Tannehill got the job done. We'll see if Tannehill was a fluke or if he can continue the good play. He was pretty good with the Dolphins all those years, so I believe he can continue the good play. The Texans, I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. He has no weapons now.
He's going to leave soon too, so.
Yes, I feel bad for Deshaun Watson as well.
But do I pull the Texans right off of the playoffs? No, I think they're going to give it a fighting chance, but I think the Titans pass them and are the better team now.
They get Randall Cobb.
That makes all the difference. It made all the difference in Dallas this year.
Yeah.
Moving to Las Vegas, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
Yikes. You can't even call it the black hole anymore. We got to call it Sin City. Moving to Sin City, the Raiders. They're my winner. And the loser, I don't think that's the Chargers' actual logo. I don't know.
But it's what you found. That's what we got. Honestly, I think the winner is a little bit wrong here. Honestly, I think the Broncos are the winner just because they released Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is no longer their starting quarterback. I mean, none of these teams really did. I mean, the Chargers are the definite loser. They lost Philip Rivers. They lost Melvin Gordon. They lost a couple other pieces. They're not, they were 5-11 last year, and they're probably worse now than they were last year. So they might win 2 or 3 games this year.
Yeah, I think the Broncos, made a big jump getting Melvin Gordon. And I do agree. I think Vegas with Mariota, big signing there. You don't know how he's what John Gruden, because John Gruden loved Marcus Mariota coming out of college. A Monday night analyst. So you don't know if he's going to work Mariota into that offense with Derek Carr, if they're going to go 50-50 snaps sometimes, how he's going to work that in. Maybe he'll induce like a wild card with him. It'll be really interesting to see. And they didn't lose too many pieces. They gained Corey Littleton, a middle linebacker. They gained a couple corners. So
it'll the whole Cowboys defense.
Pretty much. They got Jason Witten.
Yep.
So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with those pieces on their defense and what John Gruden can do, in his second year coaching in Vegas.
Aaron, you look sick to your stomach. You're just not a believer in this Vegas team.
I mean, I'm not a big Derek Carr guy. I'm not a big Mariota guy. I think Melvin Gordon's a great signing for the Broncos. I still think the Chiefs could win the Super Bowl again. They're still by far and away the best team in that division. I think the Broncos had a better offseason than the Raiders.
Okay, I'm with you there. I'm excited for what Drew Lock can do, but I believe the Raiders retooled their defense. That's going to help them out. I think they're going to be competitive, but let's not kid ourselves here. There's only one team coming out of that AFC West this year.
Yeah.
And they are the Kansas City
It's
Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Andy Reid.
So magically, we were able to go around the whole entire country and talk about all 32 teams. I'm proud of us.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Great start.
Great start. For sure.
Aaron, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so thank you for, listening or watching, depending on, what form of media. These episodes are going to go up on YouTube every Friday and up on SoundCloud as well. We're also going to try and get it on Apple and Spotify podcasts for you. Looking ahead to the next episode, we're going to be talking obviously a lot more football, as of course there is no sports right now. Maybe some major baseball news. I know for me, Noah Syndergaard with Tommy John, that's kind of big news. But we're going to talk a lot about the NFL draft as it's still happening for some reason. I'm really surprised. Adam Schefter went on a rant on SportsCenter about why it shouldn't happen, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, it's going to be a great next episode. Make sure you tune in. Thanks for listening to this one.